The day the music stopped, what I learned about financial peace after my first business closed, it wasn't a single dramatic event like a fire or a flood. It was a slow, quiet fade. The phone stopped ringing with the same urgency. The emails dwindled from a torrent to a trickle. I remember the final day clearly. I sat in my small office, the hum of the old desktop computer the only sound. I had just sent the last email to a client, informing them we could no longer fulfill their order. The finality of those words hung in the air, heavier than any debt I owed. It felt less like a business closing and more like a light being slowly, deliberately turned off. The silence that followed was deafening. For years, my life had been a whirlwind of activity, deadlines, payroll, customer service. My identity was wrapped up in the title of business owner. The world outside my window continued on, cars driving by, people walking their dogs, but my own world had ground to a halt. I didn't tell anyone at first, not my family, not my closest friends. I would wake up at the same time, get dressed as if I had somewhere to go, and then just sit in my quiet kitchen, nursing a single cup of coffee for hours. The quiet hum of the refrigerator was my only companion. I was paralyzed by the fear of judgment, of seeing the "I told you so" in someone's eyes, even if they never said it. The business wasn't just a venture. It was my story, the one I told myself and everyone else. Without it, I felt like a blank page, and the shame of that emptiness was a burden I thought I had to carry alone. Looking back, the shock wasn't just about the money, it was about the dream. We are told stories of entrepreneurs who risk it all and win. We see the highlight reels of success, the magazine covers, the triumphant interviews. No one prepares you for the quiet, lonely end of a dream that just didn't work out. The soft ambient music I used to play in the office to keep my spirits up was gone. Now, there was only the sound of my own breathing, a constant reminder of my presence in a life that suddenly felt unfamiliar and frightening. The journey back didn't start with a grand plan. It started in that suffocating silence. The days immediately following the closure were a blur of panic and shame. My first reaction was intensely emotional. I would wake up in the middle of the night, my heart pounding, a cold sweat on my brow. The numbers would swirl in my head, outstanding invoices, loan payments, credit card debt. It was a suffocating weight. This fear wasn't just about being broke. It was a deeper, more primal fear of being a failure in the world's eyes and in my own. I avoided looking at my bank account as if not seeing the number would make it less real. My worth felt tied to my net worth. I had poured every ounce of my energy, time, and savings into this venture. Its death felt like my own. I would walk the grocery aisles and feel a hot flush of shame when my card was declined. Buying food became anxiety. I realized how much of my spending was to maintain an image, fancy coffee, dinners out, new gadgets. They were all props in a play I wasn't in anymore. That fear had pushed me to poor choices long before the end. Slowly, lessons began to emerge from the wreckage. I learned my skills weren't lost. I could still manage a project, communicate with clients, build a website. Those skills were mine to keep, separate from the failed business. I learned the value of a small, consistent savings habit. Saving a few dollars a day could become a safety net. The hardest lesson was learning to ask for help. Pride had been a fortress. It was a prison. The silence I lived in was self-imposed. I was terrified to admit my reality. I thought vulnerability was weakness. But staying silent was a symptom of fear. Honest conversations with my bank, with my family, with myself. Those talks were the first real steps toward recovery. The path forward wasn't rebuilding the old life, it was building a new one, founded on honesty. The turning point wasn't a sudden inheritance or a winning lottery ticket. It was much smaller, much quieter. It happened one Tuesday morning in my kitchen. After weeks of avoiding my finances, I finally forced myself to look. The numbers were as bad as I had imagined. Staring at the screen, a strange sense of calm washed over the panic. This was it. This was the bottom. There was nowhere to go but up. I took out a clean glass jar from the cupboard, one that used to hold fancy pasta. I found a single dollar bill in the pocket of an old coat. With a shaky hand, I folded it neatly and dropped it into the jar. That $1 was a declaration. It was a promise to myself that I would start again, not with a grand business plan, but with the smallest possible action. Every day after that, I found a way to add to the jar. Sometimes loose change from cleaning, other times $1 saved by making coffee at home. The sound of the coins clinking against the glass became a small, satisfying ritual. It wasn't about the amount, it was about the consistency. It was tangible proof that I was taking control, one small choice at a time. The jar sat on my kitchen counter, a visible reminder of my commitment. This tiny habit started to change my perspective on money. Before, I only thought in large sums, thousands of dollars for inventory, hundreds for marketing. Money was a tool for big, ambitious moves. Now, I saw the power in the small and the incremental. I started to see my daily life as a series of small financial choices. Did I need to drive, or could I walk? Could I borrow a book from the library instead of buying it? These weren't choices born of deprivation, but of intention. Each frugal choice was not a sacrifice, but a victory. It was $1 I could direct toward my jar, toward my future. As the weeks went by, the contents of the jar grew. It was still a laughably small amount of money in the grand scheme of things, but its psychological value was immense. It represented hope. It was a physical manifestation of my own agency. Looking at that jar, I didn't see poverty. I saw progress. I saw the beginning of a new relationship with money, one based not on fear and appearances, but on security and intention. The simple act of saving a single dollar had given me back a sense of control that my business failure had stolen from me. It was the first, most important step on the path to financial peace. The savings jar was a private victory. I couldn't rebuild my life in isolation. The shame I felt was a heavy cloak. It made reaching out feel impossible. I imagined conversations full of pity and judgment. For weeks I rehearsed what I would say. The words always got stuck in my throat. The moment of truth came unexpectedly. My sister called, cheerful and chatty. She asked, "So how's business?" The dam broke. My carefully constructed facade crumbled. I told her everything. The fear, the debt, the shame. And there was no judgment. "No, I told you so." A quiet pause on the other end of the line. A soft, "Oh, I'm so sorry." That sounds incredibly hard. What can I do to help? A huge weight lifted from my shoulders. Speaking the truth out loud. Sharing my burden with someone who cared. It felt incredibly liberating. It didn't solve my financial problems, but it broke the spell of isolation. My sister didn't offer money. She offered support. She offered to listen. She offered to come over and just sit with me. Her compassion was the antidote to my shame. That first honest conversation gave me courage. I called my bank, not with vague hope, but with a clear list of debts and a humble request for a payment plan. The person on the phone wasn't an adversary. They were a professional looking for solutions. We worked out a lower monthly payment I could afford. It was a difficult, humbling conversation. It replaced avoidance with a clear plan. I stopped hiding. I faced it directly. Asking for help taught me vulnerability is strength. It's an admission you're human. You can't do everything alone. I reached out to a non-profit credit counselor. The counselor was kind and practical. She helped me create a realistic budget, not based on my old income, but on my new reality. We looked at every expense, every subscription, every small leak in my financial boat. It was humbling, but empowering. Seeking guidance isn't failure, it's wisdom. It's the fastest way to learn what you don't know. With a budget in place and my spending under control, the next step was to bring in some income. Any income. The idea of starting another big business was terrifying. The thought of even applying for a corporate job felt overwhelming, as if I would have to explain my failure in every interview. So I started smaller, much smaller. I remembered a neighbor mentioning she needed someone to walk her dog in the afternoons. I swallowed my pride and knocked on her door. I offered to do it for a modest weekly fee. She was delighted. That first afternoon, walking a friendly golden retriever through the park was a revelation. The work was simple, but the effect was profound. It got me out of the house. It put me on a schedule. And at the end of the week, it put a small amount of cash in my hand. It was the first money I had earned since the business closed, and it felt more valuable than any large check I had ever received. This small success gave me an idea. I posted a note on the community board at the local library, offering my services for small tasks: dog walking, garden weeding, organizing garages. I listed the skills I had, the things I was good at, no matter how small they seemed. Soon, the calls started to come in. A retired professor needed help setting up his new computer. A young family needed someone to assemble a flat-pack bookshelf. An elderly woman wanted help tidying her small garden. Each job was a few hours of work, a small infusion of cash. But more importantly, each job was a small victory. It was a reminder that I had valuable skills. It was a way to connect with people in my community. There was an honesty and a simplicity to the work that I found deeply rewarding. I wasn't an entrepreneur anymore. I was just a person helping another person. These small jobs taught me a vital lesson about income. Instead of chasing a single all or nothing source, I was building multiple tiny streams. If one job ended, it wasn't a catastrophe. This diversification on a micro level created a sense of security that my single all or nothing business never had. I was slowly weaving a new financial safety net, not with one thick rope, but with many small, strong threads. It was a slower path, but it felt much more stable under my feet. As small streams of income began to flow, I realized that my recovery depended on more than just money. My mental and emotional health had taken a huge hit. The unstructured days that followed the business closure had been a breeding ground for anxiety and despair. I knew I needed to rebuild not just my bank account, but my daily life. I decided to create a simple, non-negotiable routine. It wasn't a rigid military schedule, but a gentle framework to guide my days. This, I learned, was a powerful tool for rebuilding a sense of purpose and control when everything felt chaotic. My routine started the moment I woke up. Instead of reaching for my phone to check for bad news, I would get up, get dressed, go for a walk. The quiet of the early morning, the sounds of birds waking up, the feel of the cool air on my face. It was a calming way to start the day. This walk wasn't about intense exercise. It was about movement and perspective. It was a time to think clearly, or sometimes not to think at all. It was, a small act of self-care that set a positive tone for the hours to come. After my walk, I would make breakfast, sit down with my savings jar, sit down with my budget. A 5-minute check-in to ground myself in my new financial reality. The middle of the day was for work. This included whatever small jobs I had lined up, but it also included the work of finding more work. I dedicated 1 hour each day to sending emails, checking community boards, following up on potential leads. By time boxing this activity, I prevented it from taking over my entire day with worry. The rest of the afternoon was for my own projects. I started reading books from the library on subjects that interested me, simply for the joy of learning. I was rebuilding my sense of curiosity, which had been buried under years of stress. The evenings became a time for quiet and reflection. Instead of zoning out in front of the television, I would spend time in my garden, listen to soft music, write in a journal, not just my worries, but also my small wins. Did I stick to my budget? Did I finish a small job? Did I have a good conversation with a friend? Celebrating these tiny victories was crucial. It retrained my brain to look for evidence of progress, not just signs of failure. This simple, gentle routine became my sanctuary. It was the structure that held me up as I slowly, carefully began to heal. For years, my primary goal was singular and massive: build a successful, profitable business. Every decision, every sacrifice, every long night was in service of that one, all-consuming ambition. When the business failed, it felt like my life's purpose had been erased. The small jobs, daily routines were helping me survive, but I lacked a sense of forward momentum. I realized I needed new goals, but the thought of setting another huge, risky goal was terrifying. I couldn't bear the thought of failing on that scale again. So I decided to redefine what a goal even meant to me. Instead of one giant goal, I started setting a series of small, achievable ones. My first new goal was simple: to have $1,000 in my emergency savings account. New goal: $1,000 emergency fund. This was the new name for my glass jar, which was now a proper savings account. It was a concrete, measurable target. It wasn't a vague dream. It was a number I could work toward, one small job at a time. When I finally reached that goal a few months later, the sense of accomplishment was immense. It was a victory that was entirely my own, built on diligence and discipline, not on risk and luck. I celebrated with a long walk in my favorite park, not with an expensive purchase. My next goals were not all financial. I set a goal to read 12 books from the library in a year. I set a goal to learn how to cook 10 new healthy meals. I set a goal to volunteer once a month at the local animal shelter. These goals were about enriching my life, not just my wallet. They were about building a life that was rich in experience, connection, and learning. They were things that no market downturn or business failure could ever take away from me. This shift was profound. I was moving from a purely financial definition of success to a more holistic one. Before, the future was a source of anxiety, a huge mountain I had to climb. Now, it was a series of small, welcoming hills. Each small goal I achieved built my confidence. It proved that I could make a plan and stick to it. It showed me that progress is the sum of small, consistent efforts. I learned that the opposite of failure isn't grand success. It's simply moving forward. My goals were no longer about proving my worth to the world. They were about building a life that felt good and secure on the inside. The change was not sudden. It was a slow, almost imperceptible shift, like the sky gradually lightening before sunrise. There was no single day I woke up feeling completely healed. Instead, small moments of peace began to string themselves together. I remember one evening walking home after a small gardening job. The sun was setting, a warm golden light on the street. I had cash in my pocket, enough for groceries for the week. I wasn't rich. I wasn't a business owner, but I was okay. A quiet contentment washed over me. The constant buzzing anxiety in the back of my mind was gone. This new peace was built on small actions over many months. It came from a small emergency fund, a buffer against disaster. It came from the confidence of earning money with my own skills. It came from the comfort of a steady daily routine. I started to notice the good things again, the taste of a home-cooked meal, the warmth of the sun, a good conversation with a neighbor. My world had become smaller and richer. I learned to practice kinder self-talk. The harsh, critical voice began to soften. When I made a mistake like overspending 1 week, I treated myself like a friend. I acknowledged it, learned, and took the next small positive action. My pursuit of success had been fueled by a harsh inner critic. Finding peace meant making peace with myself, forgiving failure and honoring courage to start over. Over time, that kind of view reshaped my past. The business failure stopped being a black mark. It became a painful but necessary education. It taught me resilience. It taught me humility. It taught me the true nature of security. I dismantled a life built on ego and appearances. I rebuilt one on intention, on community, on self-worth. The scars remained, but they were no longer open wounds. They were reminders of a journey to a quieter, more peaceful shore. Looking back on the person I was, the one sitting in that silent office on the last day, I feel a great deal of compassion. That person believed their worth was inextricably linked to their bank balance, professional title. They believed that financial success was the ultimate measure of a life well lived. The most important lesson I learned through the slow, humbling process of recovery is that this belief is a lie. My worth as a human being was never in jeopardy. It does not fluctuate with the stock market. It is not determined by profit and loss statements. It is inherent and constant. Financial peace, I discovered, is not about reaching a certain number in your savings account. It is not about being rich. It is an internal state. It is the quiet confidence that you can handle what life throws at you. It is the freedom from the constant, gnawing anxiety about money. It is the result of having a plan, living within your means, knowing the difference between what you need and what you want. It is a sense of security that comes from small, consistent habits, not from a single grand victory. Peace is the silence that follows when the storm of financial fear has finally passed. The greatest shift in my perspective was this. I stopped chasing success and started building security. Success is loud, flashy, and often fragile. Security is quiet, humble, and durable. It is built day by day, dollar by dollar, with intentional choices and honest self-reflection. My life today is much simpler than it was during my time as a business owner. I own less, I earn less, but I feel wealthier in every way that truly matters. I have more time, less stress, and a deeper connection to myself and my community. I have found a richness that cannot be bought. My final insight for you is this. Your self-worth is not your net worth. It is the single most important piece of financial wisdom I can offer. If you are facing a financial setback, know that you are not alone and you are not a failure. Your journey back begins not with a complex financial strategy, but with one small, kind action for yourself. So, I offer you a gentle call to act. Today, find one small, simple thing you can do to reclaim your sense of control. Make a cup of tea and read a chapter of a book. Go for a walk. Find a glass jar and put $1 inside. Start there. Peace is waiting.